I don't like corporate because of leadership. It's always some crazy stuff that don't match. You could be the most productive person and then hit many walls and obstacles. You're not really rewarded for doing things the way that they need to be done. You're rewarded if maybe you're with the office politics, right? It just doesn't make sense. So the year that I left, I got this big old tattoo. It is a peacock, right? And I got one feather that goes up my neck to make sure I don't go back. And it's almost like a fuck you to corporate. So I love my tattoo.
Yo, people, what's up? This is your boy John, and I've got with me one of the most vibrant, amazing, and as you will see shortly, my friend Shay is going to blow your mind. So with that, Shay, please introduce yourself, tell everybody who you are, why we should listen to you.
All right, so my name is Sha Cannon, and who I am is me. That's enough. I am enough. No. So I am a digital nomad slash expat because digital nomads tend to stay places temporarily. I tend to stay a little longer term, and so what I do for money that pays me to be in these different places is I have my own business. In short, I'm a business consultant, but if you really want to know, I'm a fractional chief operating officer for other small businesses, but small is relative, like some are 7-figure, multiple six-figure businesses. And so I manage their business, manage their teams, manage all the problems for business growth and business scale. So that's how I make my moolah. But my real currency is freedom. I like to live and work anywhere. And so that's what I do.
So where are you right now?
Right now, this moment, I am in Buenos Aires, Argentina, which, as you know, or you may know, is like the beef and tango capital of the world. But right now, we are also the World Cup champs. Go Messi, number 10, I think he is. So yes,
yeah,
Argentina.
That's right. How did they celebrate? I mean, that had to be really like the Super Bowl celebration for sure.
So it's worse than the Super Bowl. So
yeah.
Us Americans, football don't make sense to anybody else but us, much like our system of measurement. But
and we're not changing. We are not changing.
And y'all claim y'all about to change daylight savings time, but we're gonna see because you didn't do it last year. So
it's not changing either.
But basically, it's the real football, and it is a worldwide sensation everywhere. United States. Everybody else is huge. The celebration here was nuts. Do you hear me? It was nuts. It was over the top nuts, but I've been here a year. So I had been here when the local clubs played each other. I'm from Alabama, so it was like Alabama playing Auburn in football. It was a big deal, right? And so when one of the local teams won, which was the underdogs, was Boca Junior, and the big elite team was River Plate. But Boca Junior, the underdogs, won the championship, and oh my God, these people went nuts, right? They had their own little parade down the street to the obelisk, and it was crazy. So I knew if that was just a local team. And our national team won, I'm not going outside. So I already knew. So what happened was when the team came in overnight, they flew in overnight, and the next day they did the parade. And so they had this bus that the team was on. It was like a double decker, and they were on the roof, waving and whatever. People were dropping off of things onto the bus, trying to climb the bus. The crowd it was so many people out there because people came from everywhere. And so the bus got to a point where they couldn't move anymore. They had to helicopter the team off of the bus.
No
and they
kidding.
Did the tour by helicopter. Look it up. It's in the news.
Wow.
You see that? Even if you see the picture of all the people around the bus, you're like, yeah, that look like a problem.
Wow. Yeah. That's
they don't play about their football.
Wow. They had to helicopter the team out off the bus. Mm-hmm. Wow. Awesome. So that's a whole cultural thing in and of itself that we don't really, So how do you, well, let's just back it all the way up. I mean, what's your background? What did you do when you were in corporate, or did you ever go in corporate America?
I did. That's how I know I hate it. I was I was a paralegal for a top Fortune 100 firm. I've only ever worked for 2 firms in my 9-year career, and they were both top Fortune 100 firms. The kind that have a firm in every major city. And so I worked there, and I was great at my job, and I always tend to love the job, right? And then sometimes you love the people, but in corporate, it's always that leadership piece that is just mucked up.
Yes,
And now being a fractional chief operating officer, I've always been a born leader, but I didn't know the principles of leadership. I just knew that I was great at leadership, right? And now I know I was great at it because I knew that being a great leader was you were of service to those under your care, right? What I now know about corporate America is they tend to put rainmakers in leadership spots. And that means that person is a good performer, right? They bring in the bucks of whatever that organization is. And so they allow that person to be a leader, and they hope that they spawn little rainmakers, right? But that doesn't make a good leader. That might make a good trainer, but it doesn't make a good leader. So one of my favorite leaders that I follow right now is Simon Sinek. And he is aligned with my soul. And so I learned more and more about leadership in small business. But yeah, I don't like corporate because of leadership. It's always some crazy stuff that don't match. You could be the most productive person and then hit many walls and obstacles. You're not really rewarded for doing things the way that they need to be done. You're rewarded if maybe you with the office politics, right? It just doesn't make sense. So the year that I left, I got this big old tattoo. It is a peacock, right? And I got one feather that goes up my neck to make sure I don't go back. And it's almost like a fuck you to corporate. So I love my tattoo.
Wow. So really, you got that because of the corporate? That is really, really interesting.
Yeah, I got it that high because of the corporate thing. I tend to have a little masculine energy. So if you don't know, the peacock is actually the male, but it's a beautiful male, is it not?
Yes.
It's kind of me. I don't have a thingy, but it's my energy. It's beautiful masculine energy.
Oh, wow. All right.
You're learning so much about your friend.
I know. That's a lot, man. That's a lot. Oh my God. But okay, so you have, but I really want to tap into what you just said. I mean, that was interesting that we often put rainmakers in leadership, thinking that they're going in the hopes of that they will kind of duplicate themselves.
Yeah.
And that does not necessarily, just because you're a rainmaker, does not necessarily mean that you have the ability to actively lead. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, like LeBron James or Michael Jordan would most likely, I don't know, maybe LeBron would, but I know Michael would never be a great leader, right?
It took Kobe a while to become one. So think about it. He was a rainmaker in his own right, but his goal was to make the rain. And since I'm the best person on the team, just give me the ball. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't until he got a little older that he understood what leadership was, and that it wasn't all about him, and that he could do better with the support of others. And that's what a leader does.
That's really, really good. That's really, really good. Okay. And so, I mean, how does that help you in what you do now? I mean, what are you doing to help transform organizations or people that hire you? You might go in there and it's just a mess. How do you put those, issues together and make it profitable again?
Well, for the CEO, who is the quintessential rainmaker in the small business world, most often someone becomes a business owner because they were good at something that people would buy, right? And so they started this business, and then they hired people to help them. They are the quintessential rainmaker. They're not necessarily a leader. So I come in and I am the keeper of the vision. Right? As the second in charge, I'm the keeper of the vision. The CEO gives me their vision, and then I manage the team so that they can execute the vision based on what the vision is, right? So what that ends up being is I'm almost like a liaison in between the team and the CEO, right? So it is my actual job to be a leader. It is my job to inspire. It's my job to motivate. It's my job to serve them so that they can serve the company, right? Whereas the CEO, their job is to be the rainmaker, right? Their job is to go out and get more business and throw that up and say, hey, make this a well-oiled machine so we can make more money. So do it quicker, you know what I'm saying? So we can bring more people in and get other people out. I just want my dream to come true. Like, y'all handle it, right? But if I step out the way and let the CEO talk to the team, that energy is very different.
Yes.
Their goal is very different, right?
Yes.
And the crazy thing about it is, in my own business, I need a buffer between me and my team. Because in my business, my goal is to be the rainmaker. It's like that, right? So
we all have our
put in the wrong position.
So we all have our positions, even in, the top level of the organization sometimes.
Yes. And it's funny because people don't understand that you have different facets, and sometimes circumstances bring out different things in you. They're so, I don't know, people get it wrong sometimes. They think you're supposed to be the same person all the time, and if not, then you switched it up. You're two-faced. No, different situations bring about different sides of you. I have a great example, right? When we are service providers as small businesses, we expect everybody to give us all the grace. Well, I'm a small business. Oh, well, I'm gonna get to it. This happened, that happened, whatever, right? As a service provider, that's where we are. But when we pay our money, this is why I don't do business with small businesses, because I need what I paid for. Give me what I paid for. Same person, different circumstances, right?
That's
all the grace that you want as a service provider. So
sometimes, I'll never forget. I had a CPA, right? We were in tax season, and gave her all the paperwork and everything. She came back and I was like, I ain't heard from her. It's been a week. I ain't heard from her. It's been like 10 days. So, 2 weeks out, I'm calling her. I'm like, yo, what's up? What's going on? And what she did tell me is that she had a big client come in and I was working on their paperwork, blah, blah, blah. I did fire.
Yeah.
Because that's just not what I want to hear.
But also the least of what she could have done was communicate with you.
Yes.
Right? Because we are human as small business owners. And it's not that we're not going to make mistakes. It's not that we're not going to need grace sometimes, but you need to communicate. And when you're doing people wrong, you need to try to make them whole. Hey, John, something has come up. It's through no fault of your own. I can't do it the way I thought. Is it any way possible? You can give me 2 more weeks. And if you do, I will throw in an audit that's usually worth such and such amount. You know what I'm saying? And you would have been like, yeah, like, give me the audit. I can wait 2 weeks. But you don't sit there and wait, and people have paid you money and they have to come and follow up with you about what they paid for. That's a no. That's
a problem. And then, and I get it. We all have issues. I'm a small business, but you're right. If there's an issue, I'm going to get in front of that, let people know I got to change the expectation.
Yes.
Man. That's definitely some good stuff. That's not even what I want to really talk to you about, but I mean, it's some good stuff. Let's go into Simon. How did you get in, into Simon? I mean, I got to meet Simon maybe 6 years ago. We shared a stage.
I'm jealous. The closest I've come is I signed up for this free summit and he was speaking live. So I felt like I could be there and kind of magically breathe the same air because he's speaking in real time and I'm listening in real time, right? Come to find out, the organization didn't send a link out via email the way they were supposed to, so I missed it, and he didn't give them the rights to a replay, so I didn't even get to watch the replay, so I was kind of mad. But yeah, I'm jealous about that. I really am. But how do I come? So I do self-development, I do professional development, and I usually do, and spiritual development. I usually do it on Sundays, right? Now, my spiritual development could be Super Soul Sunday with Oprah, who knows? But when I get into professional development, I'm always just picking topics I want to be better in the moment. And I found Seth Godin when I was working on marketing. So that's my marketing goat, my guru, right? And so I like Seth Godin. He actually explained what a brand was in a way I understood, right? He's like, it's not your logo, your colors. It is the reputation and the look and feel and what people can expect from your brand. And that's when he goes into the thing about if Nike had a hotel, you would know what to expect because they have a brand, right? If Hyatt was to have a shoe, you would have no idea what to expect because they just have a company. Like, there's nothing so unique about Hyatt in their hotels at all. So they don't really have a brand, right? And he also goes on to say, if you have a brand, you can dictate what people pay for your brand. If people are arguing with you over how much they have to pay you, you don't have a brand. So love it. But so I was, you know how sometimes I do it on YouTube because I like, even though I'm listening mostly, I like to kind of glance every now and then. But the YouTube rolled to something else, and it was Simon Sinek. And I was like, wait, what is this? Right. And he was at that time talking about start with your why.
Ooh. Oh, that's the first one.
Oh, yes. And that's my thing, right? Because my why is never money. Like, I don't want to be broke or nothing, but my why is freedom, right? And sometimes freedom comes in ways that you didn't need money. And so freedom is the thing for me. And so when he said that, I was like, oh, I was all into it. And so now he has, what's the new one he has? I was going to say macro versus micro, but that's not it. Infinite game.
Infinite game, yes.
Infinite game. So I love it. So I love his philosophy of leadership. It really hits my core. And so, yeah, when it comes to leadership, that would be my guru.
All right. Interesting. Very, very, very cool. Very cool. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. That start with the why just set, I don't know, it almost set TED on fire for me. It's like all of a sudden I was paying a lot of attention to TED Talks. Yes. Up until then, it was like, yeah, I'll check. But man, that one really set the game off. All right.
I was really into TED before I even found out about him. And before I found out his is the most watched TED in the world ever. I didn't even know that until I got into him. So yeah.
That's crazy, isn't it? When you think about all of the knowledge that has been, because what's TED's technology, education, something law,
development, something like that.
I mean, it's just all the things, starting with the why is the greatest in terms of views.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I want to get to another part, which is, you being an expat.
Yes.
And where did the desire come from? Did you take a trip when you was a kid and something? What made you want to, like post up outside of America?
So I did take trips as a kid. So my mother was a single mother at a point to where I think I was in my teens when she and my dad got divorced. And so basically we would take road trips, right? So that's how we got to travel. So I learned back then, kids, there was this flat thing called a map. And it's not that we thought that the earth was flat, but the map was flat, right? And so she taught me how to read a map. And so, I could be the co-pilot and read the map. But of course, she was probably double checking me or whatever, but I got really good at reading the map just from being her co-pilot and us taking road trips. But we took one road trip, especially from Birmingham, Alabama, which is my hometown, all the way to West Coast, Mexico. Colima, Mexico. That's a long drive. It took some days. Like, I don't know if that was maybe a week or so. But I remember that road trip. And I remember being in Colima, Mexico for about 4 months. So by the time we actually made it back, school had already started for me and everything, but we started off like at the beginning of the summer. Okay. And what I knew was I spoke English, these kids spoke Spanish, but we found a way to play and be together. So my cousin was about my same age, and so we too were playing. And I just remember having all of these experiences. I remember watching Dukes of Hazzards, and it was in Spanish, and then I could read the English, and I was just like, okay, they don't sound nothing like them, but this is cool, right? I remember experiencing some of my favorite products like Kellogg's Frosted Flakes and things like that, but the labels were different. They were in Spanish, And so I remember that, but I also remember not feeling left out of anything, even though I didn't know the language. And so I always knew that I had a love of travel. I didn't know it was going to turn into this until 1 year in corporate America. I had already decided that I wanted to get out, right? Like, I need my freedom. This is too much for me. But I went on vacation. It was my first time going out of the country by myself. And so I had to promise my family, I'm going to a resort, it's rest anyway. I won't go anywhere because usually I do excursions on this, but I'm never by myself. And so this is my first time being by myself. And what I realized was when you go, like, you're going to connect with somebody there. You're not going to feel alone. You went alone, but you don't have to be lonely. right? So it just so happened like there was a couple that was in the hotel room next to mine, and I was on the balcony, and we had a whole conversation just on our balconies, and then we met for dinner. I went to the beach, and I said, okay, I'm gonna write a book, but then I got, you know, sucked by the waves and watching waves, and another Black lady came and sat next to me, and she said, do you mind if I sit here? I was like, no. She said, I saw you earlier, I was so excited. She was a flight attendant, and it was just a reminder that just because you go somewhere by yourself doesn't mean you have to stay by yourself, right? And so I was like, oh, I think I can do this, right? I think I can continuously try, because when you have to wait on other people, it stifles you, right? Now you got to convince people to go and all that kind of stuff. And so I felt too much freedom at that moment. It was almost scary. I was like, oh, I could do this. Like I can go anywhere, because now I feel like I can do it by myself. And so that's what came to mind. And so when I actually left corporate America, started that full-time entrepreneurship, started hitting these milestones way before I ever thought I would, you know, oh, you have already replaced that 6 figures, you know what I'm saying? Oh, awesome. Oh, you have a location independent business. So now you can go anywhere in the world, right? And so I was like, let me do my proverbial throwing the dart on the digital planet, Google. Okay, so Googled digital nomad. At that time, it was 2019, Wi-Fi, because I need Wi-Fi to make my money, right?
You gotta have Wi-Fi.
So it comes up with these lists, and I'm looking at what I want to experience. I'm looking at, you know, I took Spanish in high school. I took it in college, but I don't know Spanish. Like, I don't know. I can't speak, you know, I can't hold a conversation. I can just, you know, agua, uno, like, I don't know. But what I found was the country of Belize, their actual country language is English.
Yes.
Now it's the Queen's English, but it's English. You know what I'm saying? So I thought, oh, let me start there. So I go to this little small town right under Mexico called Corozal, Belize. I didn't even go to where people, you know, go.
Not to the islands.
Tourism.
And
I wanted to actually feel it. You know what I'm saying? And so it was so local that if you didn't get up at 6 in the morning to go to the market on Friday or Monday, you didn't have non-perishable food. I mean, perishable foods like fruits and vegetables, right? Because all the grocery stores had was perishable stuff, like canned stuff and, you know, floured stuff or stuff like that. And I was just like, oh, wow, this is local. So it was a great experience. But what I found was they spoke Spanish in that little town because they were right under
right in Mexico.
Right under Mexico.
Okay.
But I mean, it reinforced to me that language is more than words. Okay, language is facial expressions, it's body, you know what I'm saying, it's tone, it's all of these things that you can get by on if you want to understand each other.
If you're trying, If
you want to understand each other. And so that was great. Then I moved.
You can't do that in France.
Well, that's because they have, you know, they have that stereotypical attitude.
They do. Just a little bit.
They have to be willing to work with you, right?
Right. So, they like it better if you don't try to speak French.
They don't even want you to talk to them. I dated a French guy before. They're very quintessential bougie, uppity, and what is this you talk about? They just let me not try to accent, but yes, it's the stereotypical attitude. But yeah, so then I went to Mexico. I lived in Mexico 3 years, y'all, and I still don't know Spanish. I've been here a year. I still don't really know Spanish. I know enough to order my food. But what I found was, not only is language more than words, I have found that good people find other good people. And all you need is good people, right? So what I found in Mexico is when they saw that I was very reverent of their culture, when they saw that I treated them as an equal, you know, when they saw that sometimes I tried to speak a little Spanish to you know, and I apologize for not knowing the Spanish rather than looking at them like, why don't you know English, you know? And so what you find is being a good person, you attract other good people and you're going to have a good experience.
And that helps. That helps a lot. So let's talk about some of the tools that you use to support your business. So what are the important tools that allow you to be a digital nomad?
Zoom. So Zoom I have all my meetings on Zoom, so that allows me to conduct my consulting. I have cloud storage, right? So that allows me to save documents in a way that other people can get to them. Google Docs allows you to work in the same doc no matter where you are in the world, right? I have Acuity, which is an appointment system. So, you know, people have appointments with me. What else do I use? I use Canva, and Canva had their event today. It was amazing.
It was amazing.
It was. So for, all my digital visuals and stuff. And as you know, you can talk to anybody on social media. And so you have that. WhatsApp is very great. In fact, the whole business ecosphere in Mexico is built around WhatsApp. It's not built around people having a landline phone number. It's built on a WhatsApp number. So I can order a pizza by texting through WhatsApp. I don't have to actually call, which helps me because I can use the translator, right? Yeah, and so it's great. Of course, they have even better. My favorite tool for living outside the country, not for business, but just for life, is called Rappi, R-A-P-P-I. So think of DoorDash or Uber Eats, Rappi. I love it. I am like 5 times diamond. Almost every meal comes through Rappi. And so your girl don't cook. I don't do anything domestic because why would I do that? But those things help you to have a very location independent business, because anything you can do in a brick and mortar for what I do for consulting, there's some kind of digital tool that I can use to do it.
So how many times do you have, are you a dual citizen, or are you, just US? How many passports you got?
So I only have one passport. I will always be a US citizen. I've made that decision thus far. I give myself, this life is a living, breathing thing. You can change your mind anytime. At this point, I have decided I always want to be a US citizen. Even though sometimes we with that crazy stuff for Black people, that passport still holds a lot of weight. However, I am going to get my Mexican residency, right? Yeah. Which means, I have a level of citizenship, but I'm not a citizen. I don't get a Mexican passport. Okay. So I am going to do that.
So you're moving back to Mexico?
I am. I miss it. I am.
Really? Yes. That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, you miss it. You're going to go back. So, did you enjoy Argentina too?
I did. Okay. And so, and this is the thing, right? Yeah. Even though I'm going back to Mexico, what I've decided is I want that to be my home base. That little special beach town that's also, it's like beachy and it's touristy. It's city, right? It's like local and it's touristy and it's very walkable. I don't feel like I have to own a car anymore, right? And so I love that combination. So I want that to be home base. I see myself buying property within the next 3 years, but I'm still gonna, go off to other places and spend time. Sometimes I do it a week at a time. I call them workcations, right? Yes. Not necessarily vacations, but I'm still working, but yeah. So I'm still
That's funny. Yeah, that's funny. Because I just talked to another, Tava, yes. and he's based in Mexico. And then I asked him, I'm like, well, why are you back? Because he had gone around to I don't remember exactly.
He was in Colombia for a little while.
In Colombia, yeah, he really liked Colombia. So I'm like, why did you go back, to Mexico? And he said the same thing. He's like, it's good to have a home base.
Yes.
And he's chosen Mexico as his home base. I was like, interesting. So for hear you say the same thing, that's very interesting. That you still feel that.
I did enjoy Buenos Aires while I was here, right?
Yeah.
So this is the closest I've gotten to a European culture, because even though it's in Latin America, it's very European influenced, right? So just like, you got the Queen's English, you have the Spain's Spanish. So they tend to be a little uppity here because they got the Spain Spanish, and they're very European influenced even in the Spanish and the architecture, and, even their skin is lighter as Latin Americans, you know what I'm saying? And so it was nice. It was a nice introduction into a different culture to visit. Yeah. I am a beach girl. Like, I love to be by water. I need to see the sunset and rise over water. This is very much city. Like, they have a delta. It's dirty. It's like a dirty river. And so I was like, oh, that's water, but it's dirty. Like, no, thank you. But it was different. It was nice to experience it. Yes. I love architecture. And the first picture I saw of here, I saw the architecture, and right as I was thinking it, I started reading the words, the Paris of South America. And I was like, whoa, I want to experience that next. And so it has been a great experience, but I'm ready. They have seasons done. They're about to get cold. So I'm under the equator.
Is that a problem?
Yes, I'm under the equator, and our seasons are actually opposite of the United States. Right? So you guys are getting to warmer seasons, we're getting to cooler seasons, and y'all can have that. So when I moved here, I actually had to have different types of clothes for the seasons. Again, I'm from Alabama. And so what we know is in Alabama, you can experience all 4 seasons in a day. I'm sick of that. So I just want to go back to Mexico where I know it's going to be hot every day. It's going to be hot every day.
Every day.
Right.
Every day.
Every
So
day.
just are there any, challenges that you had to overcome, like being African American, Black? I don't even know why I said that. But or being a woman. How has that experience been?
So I will say, being a woman, I conduct myself the same way I did in the United States. I use common sense. You know what I'm saying? So I'm I do things in a way that I keep myself protected, right? So I'm not trying to stay out too late and just be wandering around by myself. I'm just not allowing, just anybody into my house or even know where I live. I'm not getting in a car with crazy people. I'm just not doing that anyway. Now, being a Black woman, what I will say is, being in other countries, and me being of lighter skin like yourself, right? The light-skinned population is not always looked at as Black, right? So what happens is, if you have some mixtures in there, and you have a nose that looks like a ski ramp, and you have what they claim is good hair or whatever, people tend to ask you, what are you? I know you're not regular old Black, right? Well, let me tell you, in other countries, I'm regular old Black. I ain't never been so Black.
At home, I'm regular old Black.
So Black before, except for to come outside the United States. So I was like, okay, out people, I get to be Black.
That's funny.
But it's true. Like it threw me off, because all my life, I wasn't Black enough. And then you go to these other countries, and they're like, oh no, you Black. You Black. All y'all Black. You know what I'm saying?
Funny.
And so that was a new experience for me. People ask me, have I experienced racism outside of the United States? I will tell you that I am more at ease outside of the United States. Not only that, I don't really experience racism because my color is not just Black, my color is green. I got money. So it ain't really much, you know what I'm saying, that they can discriminate against me about, because I need people to understand that just because someone is looking at you and you happen to be the only Black person, that's not racism. They're looking at you because you don't look like them.
They're curious.
You're attention. Everything is not racism. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm tall, you know what I'm saying? And I wear my hair like this, I'm even taller.
You're big,
I'm beautiful. Thank you very much. So I'm gonna garner attention anyway. Anyway. And then I'm from the South.
But yeah, I was about to say, now, I wasn't from the South. I moved down to Atlanta. And the first thing I noticed was people will look at you. I'm like, why are y'all staring at me? But
they looking at you like, why are you different?
No, they were actually looking at you because they expect you to say hi.
Oh yeah, that too. Yes.
Right. Just a friendly. They'll look at you and, hey, how you doing? Kind of vibe. Up north where I was from, you don't be staring at nobody. Right. And so
you don't get eye contact, you don't speak. Yeah. And so it's funny because I went to Mexico. So yeah, again, I'm from the South. And so we have this rule that none of y'all know about if you're not from the South. Okay. So just to let you know, y'all are used to us speaking, but we will look at you when you don't speak and you don't know what the rule is, right? Well, the rule is, if you walk into the room, you are the one to speak. If someone was already in the room and you came in, you are to speak to them. If they walk in the room, they're going to speak to you. So if a Southerner is coming into your space, they're going to speak. And so, but people don't know the rule, right? But that's our rule. So in Mexico,
I've been here for 20 years, didn't even know that.
That's the rule. And so when I got to Mexico, hola happens to be one of the words I know, right? So I'm hola left and right. I was throwing them out like free money, hola, 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 you know what I'm saying? And I'll never forget, I had this one street I would go down every day and I would speak, hola, hola, and it took my little neighborhood time to adjust to me, right? And they finally got, she's just speaking, right? And so they got, but the funny part about it was it would usually just be the men outside. The women would be inside or gone or something, but it wouldn't be a lot of women on the street. And every now and then there'd be kids. Like I would buy kids like little snacks and stuff, but if they're just playing the street, I speak to them too, hola. But what I recognized was, it was this little girl in the street playing, and I spoke to all the guys, hola, 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 you know what I'm saying? And I spoke to the little kids and all the little boys like, hola, hola, and the little girl said, no, hola. And I realized, I said, oh, you know what? I might be a little topic of conversation with the women that are in the house watching me speak to all the men, and they're emphatically just speaking back. So it might be a problem. I might chill out. She said, no.
No.
I was like, oh, okay.
That's hilarious. It's been absolutely fabulous getting to chat with you, man. I mean, there's so much information in here. Can you tell me though, and this is like my last question I ask everybody, right? It's like, basically, what question did I not ask you that I should have asked you?
You should have asked me, who am I dating in all of these countries?
Oh my
God. Just saying.
who are you dating?
I'm dating local, baby, because just like I want to taste local cuisine, I want to taste local cuisine. We can end right there. Your girl is living a full life all around the world.
Oh my goodness, Shay. So I will be seeing you shortly. I'm sure you're coming in. Yeah, can't wait to hang out with you. Definitely hang out at the end here. We're going to get rid of these people and we're going to talk about the local cuisine. All right. Yeah. Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us. You know the drill. Share it, like it, tell everybody about it. I appreciate you, Shay, for being on, and we're going to see you guys later. Tell them peace, Shay.
Peace.